to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. You know, I'm happy that you're joining us today. So as you listen to the show, I get it, man, right? Change. We all freak out. What's coming? We don't know. To help you on this journey of change, I have a free gift for you. And it really starts with our mindset. So if you take my free communication style assessment, you will get 2 reports. One, what are my natural communication superpowers? How do people see me? How do I show up? Wonderful information to have. Flip side, you will receive a blind spot or a lower style report, which is where we don't function well or we don't navigate well when we're talking with those other styles. So get those free reports. The link is in the show notes for you. It's my gift to you. Now, my motivational quote today is by Yohance Salimu, and Yohance says, "Find your natural rhythm and harmonize with it." Now, lately, I've really been reflecting on my life, career, business, and just overall level of success. And, you know, being in sales for 40 years, so I clearly have the expertise to teach others the art and skill of having these wonderful, dynamic, and effective sales conversations that hopefully always convert to business. So how did I get to this level of skill? Well, that's a great question. So in the past decade, I've really realized that hard work is probably a very small piece of the puzzle. And hard work alone doesn't guarantee a positive outcome. In fact, I feel like the more I push forward with determination and effort when things weren't going as I had planned, it's sometimes made, I think, a bad situation perhaps even worse. So being a lifelong learner and interviewing amazing guests on my 2 podcasts, I get to hear and learn every day about energy, manifestation, slowing down to speed up, my new favorite quote, and of course, mindfulness. Now, these weren't concepts that I had learned or used during probably the first 10 years of my business. And now it's, I think, the cornerstone of every decision I make. This is an important topic. And today, my amazing guest, back for the second time, is Christy Whitman. And no relation, although I wish she was in my family. She's in my orbit. That's good enough for now. Well, Christy is the channel for the council, spiritual mentors, here to spread the message of quantum energy mastery. Now, Christy and the council teach classes, meditation, and provide private sessions to help clients feel more aligned with their divine design of well-being, abundance, success, and loving and supportive relationship. For over 15 years, and before channeling the council, Christy was a transformational leader, celebrity coach, and law of attraction expert, as well as the 2-time New York Times bestselling author of The Art of Having It All and Taming Your Alpha Bitch. Love that one. Christy has appeared on the Today Show, Morning Show, TEDx, the Hallmark Channel, my favorite channel, and her work has been featured in the media and various publications. She's been featured in Goldcast, People Magazine, 17, Women's Day, Hollywood Life, Teen Vogue, just to name a few. Yeah, man, she's just freaking amazing, and she's my guest today. Christy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Connie. I'm so happy to be here with you again. Thank you for having me back.
I love you, and as we were talking before, really the spiritual journey and law of manifestation and the quantum physics and the science behind it, it's really mainstream now. But when I started, 15 years ago, and that's pretty much when you started, it was really considered new age, and now it's not. It is really commonplace for us to function. So first question.
I started with metaphysics 28 years ago. I started my business full-time 15 years ago. So yeah, when I was talking about energy and law of attraction, everybody around me was like, what are you talking about? And so now you hear it everywhere, manifestation. And I'm like, okay, people are now, it's now part of our vernacular. It's part of our culture in some circles.
And I think COVID amped up everything, because we had an opportunity to unplug from our real lives, right? Whatever that meant, working 90 hours a week, running a business and raising kids, whatever it might be. And now I feel like COVID allowed us that opportunity and space to kind of be with ourselves and our thoughts. So I think that people not only are talking it, but I think we have another level of understanding and application. So I feel like the people I'm attracting are meeting me where maybe I was 2 or 3 years ago. And the level of conversations and connections and collaboration is just exponentially more intense and great, like great things are happening.
Yeah. Well, when COVID happened, lockdown happened, I said to the council, I was like, what up with this? Like, what is happening? And they said it's an amplification time. So it's exactly what you're saying, Connie. It's like everybody, whatever was going on within them, it got amplified. So if someone, for example, was in a marriage that they didn't really appreciate, they were wanting to get out of it, now they're stuck with this person, it really amplified what they were afraid to look at, what they weren't really willing to face. If someone was living alone and they really wanted a partner and now they're alone, in quarantine by themselves, it amplified that loneliness. If someone was, worried about money, that got amplified. So and that's how the universe works, right? Whatever is inside of us, it's going to be reflected to us in our relationships, our finances, our abundance, our success, our bodies. And when we can pull our attention from the outside world, because we're so ingrained, we're so trained to go, well, if you would just change, if I would have more money, if I would have that promotion or that success, or, if this would change, then I would be happy. And it's really a time to look at, how many times did you get the promotion and still weren't happy? How many times did you make more money and still didn't find that satisfaction? How many times did you go in or out of another relationship and it wasn't the relationship or it wasn't the other person? So it's time to literally pull back all of our energy, all of our awareness to ourselves, and understand that it is our consciousness that creates. What's our consciousness? It's what we say, what we think, what we believe, what we feel, and how we act. And that's really all we do have control over.
Mhm.
We wish that maybe if this president if it was that president and he did this, or if that economy, we create our own economy. We create our own reality, regardless of who is president, regardless of what's going on. And when we can take creative control of our own lives, that's when we're empowered. That's when we really know who we are and who we're co-creating with.
That's right. Why does it seem, and I get asked this a lot, like some people manifest their desires like easily. You almost look at them and think, wow, that was effortless. Why can't I do that? Why do some struggle and some seem to just attract it with ease?
Well, it's based on our own allowance, right? So one of the laws that I talk about is the law of allowing, in that if we are having any type of resistance, if we're looking at someone going, how come they did it so easily, right? That is resistance within ourselves. Well, I've been working on it so long, and they just come along and poof, they get it. And that energy of, why not me? We have a culture of victims, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, and there's compare and despair, and there's competition. And these are all coming from lack. So if we understand what resistance is, and if we understand that it's like a spectrum, right? On one side of the spectrum is lack. Now, lack, when we're in a lack mentality, and this is what changed my life 28 years ago, is learning the difference between what is a lack mentality and abundance mentality. Cliff note version here is lack feels bad. That's where all of the lower level emotions, worry, doubt, fear, frustration, disappointment, even the states of being jealous, being competitive, being comparative, envious, all of that comes from a state of lack. We think somewhere in our consciousness, again, what we say, what we think, what we believe, what we feel, and what we do is coming from not enough. And when we're coming from not enough, we feel bad. No other way to say it. It just lack feels bad. On the other side of the spectrum, though, if we're in abundance, we don't compare. We're not in competition. There is no jealousy. There is no envy. There is no why not me kind of victim. We are coming from connection to knowing that, hey, good for her, good for him. You know, you see someone with your ideal car, right? You see someone driving your, and someone will go, "Oh, well, that person's probably a da 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 da." We make up a story. That's
Yes.
coming from lack because we think within ourselves. We make it about them, but we're thinking within ourselves. They have it, I don't get it, therefore I'm lacking. And then we want to make ourselves feel better. So we create a story, a judgment about that person. When we're in abundance, we look at that person and go, ooh, I'm having this in my awareness, in my field. That means my car is coming soon too, or else it wouldn't be in my field.
That's
I
right.
mean, Connie, I'm sure you see this with social media all the time. And social media brings up a lot of comparison, jealousy, because no matter what you're doing or how many likes or views or all that stuff that goes along with social media, someone will look at it. I heard a conversation between two Pilates instructors the other day. Well, how did you get so many views on that? And it becomes this like comparative, like, what I have isn't enough. What did you do? And how come you got so many? And it's like, everybody has their own point of attraction. And if we're feeling like, how come I can't get there? That's resistance within us, and that's imprinted. Those resistant points, when we're aware of them, we can say, oh, let's look at that. There's this resistance. What is that resistance? What is that lack? What is the thoughts or the words or the belief or the feelings that I am feeling? It's based in lack, because if I'm feeling it, I can shift it.
That's
And when I shift it, then I'm shifting out of feeling bad into feeling good. And now I'm in abundance.
Do you seem, I was going to bring up the Facebook likes, right? They're demoralizing if you don't get the likes that your friend got on a post, right? And the kids are mentally being, right, that like the teenage suicide, is off the charts, and they're attributing to social media. So we can blame all of these extrinsic things. Oh, it's the social media. Oh, it's this. Oh, they have a better life. Oh, they had a better boss, right? They had better parents, whatever the rhetoric is. When you tap into this, when you work with your clients and you really shine the light on this is another example of lack for you, how do you get them? Do they have to go back and find the cause of that emotion, or do you have them shift quicker by saying, okay, it's there, this is how you can shift over to that abundance mentality? Because it's not like everybody listens to the show, Christy, right? And they go, oh yeah, this makes sense. But then there's no tools on how to do that shift, right? From lack to abundance. How do you get people to make that move, right? Make that arc or that shift?
Well, the good thing is that when you shift one part of your consciousness, everything else shifts too. Because if you think about it, if everything's energy, and it is, if we're shifting even the words that we say, that's why I created a program free.
Yes.
And I know we're going to give it away as a
Yes.
gift to all your listeners. It's watch your words, because when we're speaking, can't, won't, should, ought to, try, miss, these are words that pull us down. They start the momentum of how we feel, what we perceive. When we can be aware of the words that we're saying and shift those words, we're actually shifting the energy and the momentum. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes it's finding a thought and changing that thought. And that's where affirmations come in. A lot of times that's a tool, right? A lot of times they're feeling bad. They say an affirmation, but they don't bring it into their whole energy field. So it becomes a very heady thing, like, ooh, I'm thin and fit, but they're feeling they're still not enough.
Yeah.
So that might work for somebody to go, ooh, I am abundant. And they say it over and over and over. And now they're feeling it. And with that feeling sense, they then change the direction of the momentum, and then they start seeing evidence. And once we start seeing evidence of, wow, this really works, right? Now we start believing it and becomes something that we start living by, right? So that's one. That could be a thought. It could be a change in language. Sometimes it's a full belief. Like I had a belief in most of my life that life is full of disappointments. Well, how did I learn that? My mom used to tell me that over and over and over. And I learned that because when I was in 7th grade, I wanted to be part of some kind of, it was the first time, I could go to school and be part of a tennis team or a track team. I hated track. I hate running, or softball or, cheerleading, right? I just wanted to be part of something. And every time I walked out the door to go try out, my mom would say to me, now don't be disappointed if you don't get it. That was like an enthusiastic, go get him, girl, right? And when I would come home and my list wasn't on the roster, I didn't make it on the team, she'd say, well, life is full of disappointments. And it wasn't until last year where I was looking forward to something, it didn't happen. I felt disappointed and I was terrified I wouldn't feel the disappointment. I would rather go shopping, or I would rather go do something else, take my work, or, take my mind off of it so I didn't have to feel it. And the council, thank goodness they put me in accountability. They're like, feel that. And so I wouldn't feel it until I really let myself feel it, because my mom always said, don't be disappointed. That was ingrained in me. That
Absolutely.
was a belief. So I sat there, I felt the disappointment, which, emotions only take about 90 seconds to actually process out of our system if we know how to properly do it. And when you do it, now you can choose, like a thought, right? You could choose a different thought. You could choose a different word to say. You could choose a different essence, a different energy to bring through. And I heard my mom, while I was feeling that disappointment, say, life is full of disappointments. And I went, whoa. That's a belief. That's her belief, but it was then put into me.
Right.
I accepted it. Right. I thought, well, she's right. I keep trying out and I'm ending up disappointed. And that stuck. That imprint is like where we shut down. It's kind of like a vortex, right? We shut down around that energy, around that belief. And now we draw everything to ourselves based on that belief. So in that moment, I went, wait a minute. I don't want life to be full of disappointments. I want my life to be full of surprise and delights, right? And that's where it's like, what would life be like if it was full of surprise and delights? What would I feel like? What would I act like? How would I think? And I started entertaining my whole entire consciousness with this new belief. I will tell you, not even 10 minutes later, I got a text message from a dear friend of mine. I know you probably know her, Marie Diamond. And she said, hey, someone was literally asking who would be a great person on their show. They've got millions of viewers on their, podcast, or listeners on their podcast. He wants to interview you. When we shift, right? We shift, the universe must shift, because we are attracting everything in the universe. And the more people that can get that. Now, I have people all the time go, God, I'm 70 years old. I wish I would have got this when I was 40. That goes back into the resistance. Be glad you got it in this lifetime. Be glad you're 70 and you have however many years to live your life truly empowered.
I have a funny story. So we were on vacation and south in Jersey, it's called Cape May, and it's beautiful. My husband and I went there on our honeymoon. So this is a very special place to us. So we always, when we're on vacation, we go down the shore, we travel the extra hour and spend the day in Cape May. So we did this, but the parking is horrendous. So as we were going through the parking lots, my husband, usually we park like miles away on the street and then walk, where the little promenade is, where there's little stores and stuff like that. And so I said to him, oh, not today. And he goes, why? And I said, oh, we're going to find a spot. And he goes, all right, witchy poo, like do your magic. So the first lot we came through, he's like, oh, see, there's nothing. I go, no, go across, go to the next one. I'm telling you, someone's going to be pulling out. He rolls his eyes. Christy is like, all right, don't you know, as we were pulling up, woman went right in front of our car, keys in hand. She looked over at us and I went like, with my hands, like, are you leaving? And she said, yeah, like, give me a minute. My husband looked at me and he goes, I hate when you do that, but I love when you do that.
Yeah.
So but here's the thing. And here's why I'm sharing this. And you know what I said afterwards? Holy crap, it worked.
Yeah.
We're stunned. We know it's going to work, but then when it does work, we're stunned. And then you giggle about it, but that's that shift in the energy. I was so certain that we were going to get that spot. Yes. And we got the spot, right? And when it happened, I was giddy about it, but I knew it was going to happen. You see where I'm going with that?
Right? I totally get. I think about 5 people in my life call me a witch because, and There's a podcast I just did. It's just releasing on the Desire Factor podcast, which is my podcast. And my producer, Rob, we have conversations, and we both live in Arizona. Now, Arizona in the summer is like, hell, it's hot, right? And so last year we had record days over 115 degrees. And so when we were about to go into summer, I stopped and I said, I am declaring that we have minimal days under 115 degrees. As a matter of fact, I would love it to be between 100 and 105. And if it could be below 100, it'd be great, right? So the whole month of June, we're recording this. And I said, have you noticed that we haven't had any days over 105? And he goes, yeah, but it's coming. And I go, no, it's not. I go, here's what's going to happen. We are going to have one of the mildest summers. And he's just like, yeah, okay. And I go, I'm telling you, we're going to come back in August, and you are going to be like calling me a witch, right? So the other day I texted him because I went outside with my dog. It was 85. Now it's the end of July, right? It's like 85. And I'm like, this is fantastic. So I look at the temperature and it shows for the entire week, 96, 97, right? As a high. So I texted it over to him and he's like, you're a witch. So now he's calling me Glenda because I'm a good witch, right? So I get it, right? But it was like that thing. I've declared it. I totally believe it. I believe it's possible. I expect it. But I was like, oh, it's 85 right now, So it's like, it is that surprise and delight.
And I hope I never lose that, because even though I know it works, right? This manifestation thing, it works, man, right? You just got to feel it in your bones. Like I felt it with such confidence. And I hope I never lose that magic of, oh, it really worked. Like that kid, right? The kid who makes it happen and they're giddy about it. I don't think I ever want to lose that, because I think that's part of the charge, right? Or the energy that propels us forward, right? Yeah.
It's fun. I mean,
it is.
Again, I've been doing this for 28 years and we're building a house.
Master.
And I was telling my husband, it's like, gosh, I want boulders. And the landscaper came back with like $250,000 just in boulders. And I was like, I don't need boulders. But every time we would go see the house, I'm like, I really want boulders. Someday I want boulders. It was all about boulders. And so one day we go visit the house and there is a wall 8 foot high, at least 24 feet wide, of boulders. They had dug up a house and it was concrete boulders. And so they had to do like literally put in with not firecrackers, but dynamite. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they didn't have any other property to put it on. So they put it on our property and said, you guys can take whatever boulders you want. So I manifested boulders and I was like, that's amazing. Right. So yeah, the universe wants to surprise and delight you, but it's us that is asking. And that's what's really important to understand, is that you're saying how to, right? When we're focused on something that is negative, when we're focused on something that is contrast, we have to ask ourselves 3 questions. This has been what I've been using and I teach through my coaching academy for law of attraction coaches. When a client comes to you with contrast, have them answer themselves 3 questions. 1, what do I want? Most of us are focused on what we don't want. I don't want to gain weight. I don't want to get a divorce. I don't want this. I don't want that. I don't want to attract a person like this. Okay, so what do you want? List it. What are the things that you do want? And then more importantly, after that, because that gets the mind, right? So we're talking about the entire consciousness now. If you're focused on what you don't want, all of your energy, all of your focus, your whole consciousness is on what you don't want, and you're going to continue to create more of the same. But if you focus your mind on what do you do want, now your mental focus goes there. You start visualizing, you start seeing pictures of what you do want. Yeah. And then you ask yourself, why do I want it? Because when you're saying, why do I want it? That gets you into the feeling sense, which is also a very important part of our consciousness. The feeling sense, beyond even the mental, is a more important energetic charge. It has a higher frequency. It has more intensity. So when we can get the mind and the emotions both focused on what we want, why we want it, now what's going to happen is we're going to feel something. So what is it really that we want to feel? So when I have clients that say, well, I want to make more money. Okay, well, first of all, what is more money? If I gave you $1, that's more money. Are you going to be satisfied with that? What's more money? See yourself having that more money. But is it really bags of money that you want? Bags of coins, I mean, stacks of money? No, usually, well, people are like, yeah, I want that. Well, but why? But why do you, usually you'll take that, you'll put it in a bank or put it in an investment, you'll buy something with it. Why do you want it? Why do you want more money? Well, because I want to take those vacations. I want to be able to go buy an outfit. I want to be able to go to a special dinner. I want to send my kids to college. I want to, give my family better food to eat, whatever it may be. We all have different whys. So what do you want? Why do you want it? And more importantly, how will you feel?
Yeah.
When you have what you want, what is that bottom line essence that you're going to feel? Free, secure, joyful, whatever that is. Because as you then think about the subject of money, you want to feel joyful. You don't want to feel fearful or doubt. You want to feel excited. You want to feel that security. You want to feel the abundance, because shifting, and then every time the mind goes back to, but you don't have that. You want to go, what do I want? Why do I want it? How do I want to feel? And get back into that feeling sense. Because every time, it's like a radio dial. Every time you tune it back in, you get into alignment, and that's when things flow.
It's all energetic exchange, right? Money is just energy. We forget these things because we're in our own head, because of social media, because of the news. Like you said, it's the president's fault. It's the cabinet's fault. It's, why are we blaming, right? Let's go within, exactly what you said, the three questions, and then do the pattern interrupt. As soon as you see yourself going down the rabbit hole of lack, right? Do the pattern interrupt and say, what are the three questions Christy told me to do? Go through that process. The more you do it, then you start doing it without thinking about it. It just becomes the essence of who you are. I wanted to share a real quick story. When younger, before I met my husband, I was making good money. I was going to buy a house, and I had decided that I was dating fools. And so women listening, that you're like, yeah, I can relate. I thought,
I dated some myself. Yeah.
Holy moly, right? It was just like I was attracting the losers. So I remember Italian family. I come home, Chrissy, I say to my mom, I made a big decision. I have money in the bank. I'm going to buy a house. And she's like, okay, good for you, right? It's an asset. And I said, I'm going to adopt a child because I definitely want a kid in my life. I just don't want the man because they're just too much work. She almost had a heart attack. Woo! The whole Italian, you can imagine that scenario. Well, fast forward, and I don't know why I did this. It was intuitive, clearly at the time, because I didn't know about law of attraction and all that. But I sat down and I wrote a list of all the things I absolutely wanted in a man. And then right next to it, I put all the non-negotiables, the things I would not tolerate in a man that would not make me happy over the long haul. Well, within 2 months, I met my husband. And within 2 years, we were married, and now we're married over 30 years. So I recently shared that story. Here's the funny piece of the story. We were getting married. We had packed stuff up, and I found this piece of paper. Christy, I forgot I had even done it. And I looked and I go, oh, he has all the things I want. Oh, he has none of the things I don't want. And here was the really cool thing. He had a lot of things I didn't even know I needed. So he was the right match for me, right?
Yes.
I shared this story with a client, and she just came from the Pacific Northwest, and we visited a week or so ago. And she did a list after I told her. She did a list, and she goes, I did it. I said, what did you do? She goes, I manifested the man of my dreams. So, these are the things. It sounds silly, and we're joking about it, like the parking spot, right? It works.
I did it too.
Yeah.
I had a therapist years ago when I wrote down all the qualities that I wanted in a partner, and she goes, this person probably doesn't exist. And I said, I only need one. So I stopped seeing that therapist. And then my best friend was like, yeah, if you find him, see if he has a brother. It was like a lot of doubt, right? So I recommend people that don't necessarily believe in what you're doing don't necessarily talk to them about it. Keep it for yourself, because manifestation is very private between you and you. And especially if you might have naysayers around you, like, yeah, right, that's going to happen. I was done with my therapist when I was like, this is what I want. This is the kind of man. I just got out of a bad relationship. I almost I was engaged to him. And that gave me clarity of, I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want that. I do want this and this and this. And I wrote out my list. And same thing. When I one day found the list and went, oh my gosh, like I literally created you. And I used to date some pretty bad boys. My husband is complete opposite, 16 years together. So
See, I say often, Christy, I kissed a lot of frogs to
find my prince. Exactly.
But it's true. We're out of time, but here's the deal, guys. There's actually, you have 7 principles to desire, right? To get the things that we desire. We didn't have time to get through them all. Is there an outline on the website that people can, because I know they want more. I always want more after I talk to you. I just love our time together. On the website, are those 7, or can we quickly go through, like, because they're all connected, right? You can't do one and go, okay, magic's going to happen. They're really all connected.
It's how all energy sets up in order to manifest something. And these were brought through from the council. And it is all the principles that are in the Desire Factor book. So if you really want to dig deep with it, the Desire Factor is, I've had people say, oh my gosh, this is the best book on manifesting in decades. I've had repeatedly people telling me that. So it really is. It takes you in depth of each of the different processes and helps you understand, because once you get them, it's quick. It's like within minutes, you're going through them. So it's alignment, focus, joyful expectancy, having, loving, surrender, action. Those are the 7 principles. Now, someone might go, oh yeah, I know about surrender. Are you doing it in the right order? A lot of times we surrender before we haven't done our job as the physical to the non-physical to set the energy up. And then we surrender it, and then we take action, which is a very important part of manifestation. Yeah. So the Desire Factor, you go to desirefactor.com. It's anywhere, books are sold. And I also have the Desire Factor podcast where I dig through, and so does the council, on each of those different principles, or you can go to christywhitman.com.
Thank you for all of that. It's everybody has to read this book. And I really believe this, Christy, that if all of us work on ourselves with these tools that you share, and we just shift our energy, that our own personal energy, just that little smidge, think about the impact on your family, your business, your career, right? The people you work with, your company, whatever it is. Think of the impact we're having on the world. And it just takes that one person to make that one little shift, and magic really does start happening. The other thing, everyone, observation as you went through, and thank you for doing that quickly, those 7 different, I'm going to call them pillars. I don't know what you call them.
Principles. Yeah.
Principles. Thank you. I couldn't think of that word, but those 7 principles, every one of them, as you gave those words, they felt good. They were all positive images, positive feelings behind each of the words. So that was just kind of an aside. As you were going through, I was like, oh, that feels good. Oh, that feels good. And all 7 had a real nice vibration as you were even just saying the words out loud. So thank you for that, for doing that quickly.
You're welcome. Connie, is so true. If all of us could return back to our natural state of abundance, which is part of our divine design, we wouldn't have wars. We wouldn't have people doing mass crazy stuff. I mean, we wouldn't have a lot of the conflicts and issues we have in our relationships, because if each person was connected and each person knew their own alignment to their divine design of well-being, abundance, success, and love, everybody would be feeling what we're divinely designed to be. We would feel good and we would thrive. And pain bodies would be no more. We would all be in our love bodies. And truly, I mean, that is the secret to peace and happiness. And we all have that choice. We all have that ability to do that, no matter what our past has been.
You're right. It doesn't matter. Today's a new day. Tomorrow hasn't happened yet. What do you want to create? Step into that. You have the power. And as you were saying that, I just taught a class last week, one of my corporate clients, and we were talking about obviously sales, but I talk about energy exchange because our clients feel our energy, right?
Yeah.
And I said, even though you have a positive attitude and you have a high good energy output with your clients and with people in your orbit, doesn't matter. I said, bad things still happen to us. You still have death. You still have disease. We still have kids that get sick, right?
Contrast.
It absolutely is. Here's the difference. When you approach life the way we're talking about it, you have the ebbs and the flows of life, right? The ups and downs. My wish, and I said this to the class, is that for every one of them, when you're on the high, that wave gets longer and just wider, right? And then when you hit the trough, the down, right? Whatever that is, disease, illness, whatever it is in your family, something went wrong, that we hit the bottom, but we fly back up and we ride the next wave of whatever that next beautiful thing in our life is. Doesn't mean you're going to escape bad stuff, because that's life, the contrast, but can you come out of it faster? And I think that's the magic and the power that we have, that we could share with others and reduce war and all of those other things that are just icky, right, in the world.
Absolutely. That's what the council says. Most people are living over here in not feeling good, with glimpses and moments of feeling good. But we're meant to, and we can feel good the majority of time with glimpses and moments of, frustration or anger or sadness or whatever, and then come back into alignment.
That's right.
So it's a total paradigm shift. It's a totally different way of being.
Yeah. We got to flip the
worth
script.
it. And it's so worth it.
Amen. From your lips, I'm telling you. So everybody, listen, you need more Christy in your life. So ChristyWhitman.com, book you can get there. If you have a question specific, you can email her and her team at ChristyW@ChristyWhitman.com. And the free gift is watchyourwords.com. Super good place to start. I'll put all of that info in the show notes so you could connect with Christy, start following her. Highly recommend doing the download. And I do highly recommend, right? We're on the beach, we're taking vacations. Please buy the book, read the book. Let's start changing the world together. We've got this, right? Together, we can really, really make magic in the world happen. Christy, as always, just delight to hang out with you and spend time with you. And just thank you for sharing your zone of genius, but you do it in just such a familiar way that is digestible, and I feel like easy to understand and easy to apply. So thank you so much for just being you and doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you for that honoring. Back at you, sister. And
yeah,
we have lots in common. My Italian friend that doesn't have an Italian last name, Whitman, right? We have the same name, nail coloring going on. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. So it's great to have a sister in light, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, same. I honor you. And I hope you will all join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together. No matter where you are on your journey of change, embrace it. Take our strategies and ideas and tips. Read Christy's book, read the books that my other guests bring to the table, and truly take the information, though, apply it. With action comes reaction and magic. And I want everybody to have a little bit of magic in their life. Christy, thank you again. Thank you all for tuning in. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. Have a journey of joy this week, right? And be inspired to manifest the desires that we really all, that the universe wants to give us. The universe has our back. Let's take advantage of that. I love you all, and I'll see you all next week. Have a great one.